Hello, ma.
Hello, ma.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, ma.
Yeah, good evening, ma. Good evening, ma.
All right, I think we're live.
All right, I think we're live.
African Radio.
African Radio.
All right, you are live and direct. Please, ma, can you just come out of one of your line? You are logging in into on two devices.
Okay. Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, ma.
Yes.
Continue.
All right. Good evening, everybody. You are welcome to our program tonight. We're sorry for starting a little bit late, and it's just due to some technical issues that we are experiencing tonight. On this hour program, how is your mental health? How is your mental health? This evening we have a wonderful guest who is joining us in the studio today. And our guest for tonight, she is a finance expert who works as Director of Account with Ondo State Ministry of Finance. She's a woman who is passionate about mental well-being, mental illness, and most of all, depression as a mental health condition. She is the founder of Help for the Depressed Foundation, and this is an extraordinary NGO which is dedicated to extending solace to individuals passing through mental illness. She is passionate about the less privileged, vulnerable, and downtrodden. Welcome with me on tonight's segment of KOA Foundation. How is your mental health today? Welcome into the studio with me, Princess Temidayo Olajumoke. You are most welcome tonight, Ma. We appreciate your coming into our studio tonight to join us on this program to speak about mental health awareness and to also educate us on stigmatization in mental illness conditions, stigmatization as it affects mental illness and those who are suffering from some form of mental illness or the other. We are welcoming Princess Temidayo Olajumoke into the studio right now to join us as our guest tonight. Princess, are you here with us? Are you in the studio now? Princess Temidayo
I think she's still
Olajumoke.
trying to log in. She's still trying to come in. She's not yet in the studio, but
Okay, she's
I
not yet in
believe
the studio with us.
yeah,
All right,
yes, she's still
as
trying to
we
connect.
are waiting for Mrs. Temidayo Olajumoke, popularly known as Princess, we would be discussing about our program last week, as it was really, really exciting to have quite a lot of people in the studio with us. It was such a laudable program, and we've been having several people calling us, several people telling us that we're doing a laudable thing, you know, discussing about mental illness, creating an awareness regards to mental illness, and also letting people know about how to look after their mental health, how to you know, get help when they need help, how to get support, how to access professional help, and how to recognize when mental illness is, you know, affecting them in one way or the other. And also, most especially, how do you manage when faced with these problems, when faced with mental illness? What are the signs and symptoms that you should be aware of? What are the signs and symptoms you should try and recognize And when those signs and symptoms, when you can tick the boxes to say, all right, I think I'm going down the lane, or I think my mental health is being affected. I think I'm going through mental challenge. Um, it is worthy to begin to speak out. It's important, and that's why we are here tonight, to recognize that we need to speak out when issues of mental illness arises, when our mental health is being challenged, when our mental health is suffering, and when we are going through a situation that either we do not recognize as it is happening for the first time, or if it has occurred before, how do we support ourselves? How do we say, oh, we need help? How do we access, support for our mental wellness? It's very important to um, have understanding as it affects mental wellness, mental health, mental illnesses, because this is a very, very vast area. And the more we keep talking about it, the more we would get understanding and support, and also be able to educate people more. And the more of us doing works in this area, the better. So tonight we will be discussing about stigmatization, labeling, and judgmental judgmental issues that can arise with regards to mental illness, mental state of mind, and different types of conditions which are inherent in mental illness. People often get stigmatized, people are labeled, people are judged when they are going through mental illness. And this is the reason why a lot of people find it difficult to actually speak up. A lot of people find it difficult, to talk about it. A lot of people find it as a major issue, whereby they don't want to say anything. They would rather be quiet instead of being judged. And this is getting to a point whereby a lot of people are, becoming weary, because people are going to say all sorts of things about them. And that is why we need to begin to talk to ourselves. We need to begin to educate ourselves and to support ourselves and say, you know what, mental illness is not it's not an illness that can be talked about. It is not an illness that we cannot speak, about, or we cannot speak up to get help. It's not an illness that we should be ashamed to voice out when we have loved ones going through it, or when we ourselves are challenged and through one form of either stress, through one form of you know either marital problem, through maybe career problems, through financial problems. Our mental health is being challenged. We should be able to come out and say something and say, you know what, I need help. My mental health is all over the place. I am going through depression. I am going through anxiety. I'm going through panic attacks. I'm going through a condition called schizophrenia. I'm going through bipolar disorder. And in the UK and in diaspora, especially developed countries like America, like Canada, like United Kingdom, like many parts of Europe, just around the continent, the 5 continents, like North America, South America, and we also have Europe as a continent, Asia as a continent. Out of the 6 continents, you would agree with me that Africa as a continent is the continent that is doing the least with regards to mental health awareness. And I want to narrow it down to my own country, Nigeria, whereby a lot is not being done. The awareness is still small. And if we're going to rate it in terms of, in terms of statistics, I would say out of 100%, the awareness in Nigeria with regards to mental illnesses, mental health awareness, mental wellness understanding, mental illness understanding, the awareness is still about, let's just say, 30%. And we would say that seeking help and the help available to understand it, and structures put in place by government to help assess professional help, especially for the vulnerable, the downtrodden, we will call them the, in quote, the poor people, the ordinary layman on the street in Nigeria, to access mental health needs, mental illness needs. It's still very, 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 very low. So if we're to say seeking professional help in Nigeria for mental health condition, mental illness condition, I would say we're still very far behind. And creating this kind of awareness and understanding in our various, cliches and little space would help to get to the government to say, do more. Strategies that we can employ, strategies that can help us and assist us even to reach people, and create that awareness is why we are here today. And once again, joining me in the studio, as I already said, is our honorable guest. She is a woman of many parts. She is a woman who is rich. I have read her bio. I have read her CV, her citation, and I am very happy to have her in the studio today. Oh, she's just disappeared again. And I hope you're bringing her back. Um, we're happy to have you, Princess. I don't know whether it's your connection right there from Nigeria that is being interrupted, but we are welcoming you back into the studio. And once I can see you live and direct again, I would just give the platform to you to educate us on stigmatization as it affects mental illness and mental health conditions. As I was saying before, Princess came into the studio, I was discussing reasons why people do not speak up when they are going through mental illness, when they are going through mental health challenges, and stigmatization, labeling, and being judgmental is a huge part of the role and the reason why people do not like to discuss their mental health state. People do not like to, let others know, either friends, either family, either co-workers, either at times your employer as well, because people are afraid of either being fired, people are afraid of aspersions being cast on them, and also people are afraid of being talked about. People are afraid of not being not being given empathy. So tonight our dear princess is going to educate us with regards to how stigmatization affects mental illness, affects mental health conditions, the perception of people when it comes to mental illness. Why are people judgmental? Why do people stigmatize? Why do people label um, vulnerable people and people going through mental illness? And why is there no empathy for them? Joining us in the studio, as I have said, um, Princess Temidayo Olajumoke. She is a financial expert, director of accounts within Ondo State Ministry of Finance, a woman passionate about mental well-being and illness is in and depression as a major area of mental illness. She's founder of Help the Depressed Foundation, and she's doing great things and extraordinary work to alleviate the suffering of people passing through mental illness. And she's passionate about the less privileged, the vulnerable, and the downtrodden. And we welcome you tonight on KOA Foundation's this segment of How is Your Mental Health? Over to you, Princess Temidayo Olajumoke. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to be with you. Thank you, KOA Foundation, for having me. I'm so delighted to be here because it is like my baby project, a pet project, something, in my sleeping and waking, I want to do. I want to see how we can increase the level of awareness on mental health issues, especially in Nigeria. I've been on this since 2019. In our own little way, we have been increasing the level of awareness about mental health. And the issue of stigma, of course, is a major issue when it comes to mental health challenges in this part of the world because of the level of awareness. A lot needs to be done to reduce stigmatization to the barest minimum. And like our host said, that in other parts of the world, in the developed world, much effort has been put into this. And so the burden is lighter. I know, like in the UK, the level of stigmatization cannot be compared to what we have in Africa, or let me say Nigeria. Here in Nigeria, it's not easy for somebody to just walk straight to a psychiatrist because of fear of stigma. Even when people need help in Nigeria, the fear of stigma will not make it so easy for them to access help. So I personally believe that we need to do more to reduce this stigma. And like I said, since 2019, we've been out. What we do basically about stigma is to educate people about mental health, because mental health is not what people think it is. When we say mental health, It's talking about our entire wellness. It's talking about ability to cope with life's challenges, being able to fit in into the society, do things that you're expected to do, react to issues appropriately, and so on and so forth. Being able to contribute positively to the community you belong to is mental health. But when people hear mental health, the first thing that comes to the mind of an average African man is that, oh, these are the mad people. These are people that go out naked. In recent time, on Health for the Depressed Foundation social media platforms, been working on dispelling myths around mental health. And one of the things that, is a common myth around mental health is that, one, they say if somebody with a mental health issue bites you, the challenge is transferred to you. And of course, the answer to that is say no, 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 no. It is not something that you transfer by interacting with people. It is not a communicable disease, so to say. So we need to educate people if really want to reduce if we want to reduce the level of stigmatization on mental health. That's what people say. What is this?
I think we have lost Princess there again. The connection in Nigeria can be quite temperamental once in a while. And she has started to educate us on why stigmatization, why labeling, why being judgmental as it regards to people going through mental health challenges. And in as much as Africa has a lot to do with regards to creating more awareness, with regards to provision of professional help for people who are having such challenges, it is also pertinent to note that a lot of us who actually have crossed the border, who have left the shores of our countries in Africa or either West Africa, either West Africa, um, either North Africa, East Africa, or South Africa. And we have found ourselves in places like Europe or America or Asia, any of the other 5 continents where we have found ourselves. I want to tell you, and it's something that is well known to me, and I'm speaking from evidence-based practice, being that I am very, very vast in the healthcare profession, which is my career path. I stand challenged, but it's something that I have discovered and I have seen that quite a number of Africans and quite a number of Nigerians, especially my country people, we tend to stigmatize. We tend to cast aspersions. We tend to be judgmental, even as much as we're here in developed country and we're here in, in diaspora. We tend to stigmatize and ourselves, and we tend to stigmatize others who are also of ethnic minority, other Africans. we stigmatize ourselves. We haven't grown to the point whereby, if someone is going through mental challenges, if someone has a mental breakdown, we are not educated. We have refused to gain education. We have refused to imbibe the culture of where we are currently residing, where we are, the developed country where we are living, to allow the influence of that environment to rub on us, to actually help us to understand about mental wellness, mental illness, and mental health. We carried our culture or from Africa. We carried our culture from Zimbabwe, from Kenya, from Ghana, from name it. A lot of the Black African countries, we carry our culture to the developed world where we're living, and we still start to stigmatize one another, make fun of one another, not showing empathy for one another when someone is going through a mental illness, when someone is going through a mental health challenge. We go and talk behind, the person's back. We call other people and say this person has had mental breakdown. Watch out for that person when you see him or her. Or we see them in hospitals, and then we come, instead of maintaining confidentiality, we come and talk about them. And I'm a Yoruba person. I'm of Yoruba dialect from Nigeria, and I'm going to speak a little bit of my dialect right now and translate it to English. They will tell you, oh, rara le o ti ya were. Yeah, someone actually said that about somebody to me, and said that the person is now mad, that you should see this fellow person, see this our friend, that is well known to us. She has lost it. She's gone cuckoo. She's mad. And because of those kind of stigmatization, people are quick to withdraw. People do not want to seek help. Welcome back, Princess. I know the connection in Nigeria can be quite temperamental. We're very happy to have you back, so you can carry on from where I have filled the gap. I can see that you were enjoying a bit about what I was saying, and you can identify with it. So over to you, Princess. Oh no, the connection is really, really bad today, and we really want to hear what Princess has to say. But as we're still waiting for her to come back online, I would just continue with what I was saying, and it's quite interesting. It's quite sad, and it's quite disheartening to actually see that Black people of ethnic minority in developed countries are actually the one creating problems for their fellow, Black people, for their fellow Africans, by stigmatizing them, labeling them, and calling them names. And because of this, we've lost a lot of people to suicide. We've lost a lot of people, to being sectioned under the Mental Health Act. We've lost a lot of people to not coming out for early help and intervention. Princess, you're welcome back, and you can take it from where I am. You need to unmute, Princess. We're not able to hear you. Are you still there with us? We're experiencing some technicalities today. Please bear with us, but definitely we will get through it. and you would be able to watch the program. And if you are unable to watch it live with us, definitely you would be able to, watch it as a recorded program where we'll be streaming on all our different platforms tonight. And you can use this information which you have gotten, because information is power. Knowledge is power. And through the information that you're getting tonight, you are able to educate yourself and to educate other people. And, together we can be advocates, and we can tell people that, you know what, mental illness is something that can be overcome. It is not a permanent situation. There are clinical depression, there's depression based on your situation presently, there's anxiety based on trauma, there's anxiety based on lifestyle, there's anxiety based on childhood trauma. There's people go through different challenges, as Professor Ola Salau mentioned to us last week, with regards to different types of conditions in mental, illness. And he spoke about schizophrenia, he spoke about bipolar disorder. And some of these are caused by chemical imbalances in the brain. Chemical imbalances in the brain. And this is not your making. This is how you are wired. It's not your making. It's not because maybe God loves you less or you've done something wrong. It's how you're wired. Prof educated us and told us that the way I would respond to trauma is different from the way even my husband or my children or members of my family would respond. So we're all wired differently. Some stresses that I can, accommodate and have shock absorbers to, my husband might not be able to accommodate them. And he might have some things that, he can accommodate and stronger with, and his mental state can actually cope with them. And I am unable to cope with them. I, for one person, when things are too stressful, I kind of back away, because I know that my mental health is very fragile. And just the same way, I can't watch horror movies. I can't sit down and watch movies where people are being stabbed or there's diabolical things, because I won't be able to sleep. And you would see people who will pay and go to the cinema, pay on online TV to watch horror movie, and I wonder how they cope with it. But that's their own, ability to cope with mental, anything affecting their mental state. That's the strength of their mental state. But that doesn't mean that other people will be able to cope with that. So what are we saying in essence? What we are saying is that everyone is wired differently. And because of the way we are wired, we shouldn't cast aspersions. Shouldn't be judgmental. We shouldn't make fun of. We shouldn't label. We shouldn't stigmatize people, because in so doing, we are going to let them cave further. We are going to drown them further. And it would stop them, most especially, from seeking professional help, because they are being judged. They are afraid to come out. They're afraid to make themselves known. And that's why we're having people committing suicide today, both old and young. And mental state of mind, mental illness, mental health challenges does not discriminate whether you are rich, whether you are poor, whether you are fat, whether you're lean, whether you are educated, whether you are uneducated, whether you are academically well achieved, or whether you are illiterate. And even evidence-based research, which I'm very versatile in, actually says and connotes, and we have researched to see that a lot of people who suffer from mental health challenges or mental breakdown are actually, there's a lot of high threshold in accomplished people. And when I mean accomplished people, people who are gurus in their professions, people who are academic scholars, people who are, bank executives, people who have risen in the cadre of their professional ladder, and they are wearing caps, which quite a lot of people admire. So, what am I saying? Business magnates, people who are very wealthy financially and monetarily, they go through a lot of mental health challenges. But because of stigmatization, labeling, and people making fun of them and not showing empathy, a lot of them keep it. They don't talk about it. They allow themselves to bear the burden alone. And that's why we hear about people jumping off, high rise, people putting a gun to their head, shooting themselves, people, committing suicide by drinking sniper, or poisonous substances. And then you will ask yourself, you know why is this happening? Why am I going through such challenges? Why? Oh, I feel sad. I don't know how to handle this. And people see me in the society, I'm very accomplished. And if they hear that, I'm either going through schizophrenia, bipolar, I'm going through depression, I will be judged, and it will bring down my self-esteem, it will bring down my profile. I won't be able to cope. And then their mind is telling them that, they're a failure. Their mind is telling them negative things. And because they're not discussing it with anybody, they're not talking about it with anybody, the next thing to do is to commit suicide, and feeling that ending it all is the only way out. And because of societal beliefs, because of the way people, judge others, because of the way the society reasons, because of the way, most especially the African society, the Black society, because of the way we reason, and we're very judgmental of one another. We don't show empathy. We don't show enough empathy. We don't support ourselves enough. That is why suicide is high in our society, among we Africans. When people are going through mental illness, when they are going through mental health challenges, we're not gentle with one another. We're not gentle with one another. We're not supportive enough of one another. We don't signpost one another to where help can be gotten. We fail one another. And that is why it's such a huge, it's very prevalent in our society. It's very prevalent among us as Black people. Suicide is very prevalent. Lack of help seeking for mental illness is very prevalent. And this is because we are judgmental of one another. We cast aspersion. We stigmatize both the mental illness sufferer and their family. I've heard people say it about, people who are going through mental illness, that if I knew you had mental illness in your family, if I know you people suffer, your generation is prone to mental illness, I wouldn't have married you. If I know that you have that genes in you, that might lead to mental breakdown, I don't think I would have allowed myself to be in your space, or to be joined to you as man and wife. It's shocking to hear people say such things. Mental illness, yes, there are genetic factors that can lead to that. If you are born by parents who their threshold of stress is low, their coping mechanism is low, or they've suffered, a depletion in their, chemical balance state. Maybe low serotonin runs in the genes. Of course, it could carry over. It could actually span over generations. If your mom or your dad or someone is in your family, is prone to not coping well with stress, and has suffered anxiety in the past, or has suffered panic attack, it can then be inherited. It can show in your own, family. It can it can show in your generation, in your nuclear family, in your extended family as well. But then you shouldn't look at someone and say that if mental illness runs in your family, um I feel sad that I married you, or I joined myself as spouse to you. I think that is extremely derogatory, and this can actually lead the person to commit suicide, because you have belittled them, you are lacking of empathy, and you are lacking of understanding of what mental illness is, or mental health and well-being. You are lacking of understanding of the condition referred to as mental illness. Just like every part of the body, every anatomy and physiological part of the body, the different systems we have in the body, we have the skeletal system, we have the what do you call it, we have the intestines, we have the abdominal system, we have the orthopedic system, we have different parts of system in our body, cardiac system. Just the same way we have the neurological system, which is the brain. And the same way you get treated for when you break a leg and your leg is in the cast, the same way someone who is going through mental health challenge, someone who is going through mental illness, will go and seek help. Just the same way your leg is put into the cast and the doctor tells you, oh, you have 3 months or 1 month or 2 weeks to nurse it and come back, and we remove the cast, and maybe we would give you crutches for your bones to fuse back together, or we'll put screws in your leg. The same way someone who's going through bipolar, or going through depression, or going through panic attack, or going through schizophrenia, they also need medicine. They also need therapy. Just like screws are being put in your leg, theirs is maybe therapy. They have to go and see a shrink, or a psychiatric a psychiatrist, or a psychiatric consultant, or go for therapy from a psychotherapist. That's their own path of wellness. That's their own path of assessing health. So let's stop calling someone with mental illness a madman on the street. Let's stop calling them they've gone cuckoo or they've gone over the block, because it's also a condition. This is the brain. And for a lot of people, as I said, we're wired differently. When stress gets too much, when issues of life get too much, when conditions are overwhelming, when you are suffering, setback in your career, when you have a child who's giving you sleepless nights, when you are, you're looking for the fruit of the womb, you've been married a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, and you're unable to conceive. When you're being diagnosed with cancer, when you're being diagnosed with diabetes, when you're being diagnosed with, a health condition that is terminal or might affect your quality of life for a long time, when you're going through divorce, when you're going through separation, when you're going through stress, marital stress, different types of things lead to, your nerves, your mental, your serotonin, your coping mechanism being stretched. And some are stretched further than others. And that's where mental breakdown is imminent. If you see a lot of people that are going through one form of mental illness or the other, I stand to tell you, because it's evidence research proven, that there is an underlying cause. When you are not sleeping at night, when you suffer insomnia, maybe for a day, for 5 days, 10 days, 20 days, and your body starts shutting down. When you access professional help, they start from your history. When you go for therapy with a psychotherapist, they start from your history. They ask you, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your upbringing. Tell me about your childhood. Tell me about your marriage. Tell me about your children. Tell me about your job. Tell me about your career. They dig into the root. They dig into several factors. They look at it from an holistic approach. And what am I saying? We should stop stigmatizing people. We should stop labeling people. We should stop casting aspersions on people. We should stop being judgmental as African, as Black people, because different things lead to mental illness. It's not only, for even people that are psychotic due to drugs, due to drugs, due to what do you call it? Due to alcohol. Ask their history. Something must have pushed them into it. So what am I saying? Stigmatization, being judgmental, and also, labeling, not showing, lack of empathy, push people over the borders to suicide. And we're saying today, no to suicide. Let's tackle it from things that are leading people to suicide. And stigmatization leads, mental illness sufferers to suicide. Welcome back, Princess. Wow, the journey has been long. Let me pass the ball to you to say a few things, before we take questions from the audience, and for those who are live on the show who might want to drop questions for us to answer. Over to you, Princess. Princess, can we hear you? Over to you.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Sorry, I've been battling with the network here.
Yes, I know
Hopefully
the
this
network.
time.
Yes, in Nigeria can be really, really terrible. Oh dear, we've lost Princess again. I'm very sure we would have to bring her back on this edition because she's very, very loaded. She has a lot to say about mental wellness, and she's doing great works. She actually has a foundation for depressed people, whereby they support them, provide psychotherapy for them, look into their roots. As I was saying before, poverty can actually lead to mental illness. As a mother, as a father, when you are not able to provide for your children, you know, some people are very deep thinkers. They wonder, why am I poor? I've done everything. You can imagine somebody that dotted their I's, crossed their T, had formal education, primary, secondary, you know, university, and then they're looking forward to actually having a bright future, getting a job. And just like myself in Nigeria, before I came to, you know, the United Kingdom, getting a job was, you know, it was an Herculean task because it was about man, no man. So you can imagine having your certificate in your hand and you are not able to find a job. And here you are, you have children, you have, you know, you need to feed them. It could affect your mental state. It could cause mental damage. It could cause mental illness. It could make you depressed. And then you then have people who are now telling you, oh, come off it. You're attention seeking. You know, oh, come off it. You're not strong enough. I was sharing some things on my WhatsApp, you know, status some time ago about the, you know, the judgmental nature of our society, about men needing to always be strong, that men are not meant to go through depression. They're not meant to go through mental illness. Men are not meant to suffer, you know, mental illness. And I'm asking myself, you know, I looked at the statistics, why men do not get help, why men don't get help for mental illness, why men don't come forward, why men don't talk about it, why men don't seek, you know, professional help. And I begin to understand why the rate of suicide is high in men. Men between the ages of 16 and 49, which is the prime age of life, which is the prime age of actualization. You know, either in your career, either in family life, either in, you know, in success ladder. That's a prime age. And I began to research further, you know, evidence-based practice. And it tells us that when you're faced with mental health challenges, the rate of professional help seeking for women is 70%, while the rate of professional help seeking for mental health challenges in men is about maybe 23%. So you can imagine. And it then goes further to say that the rate of suicide in men due to mental illness, due to mental health challenges, is about 60%. The rate of suicide in regards to mental health challenges or mental illness in women is about 30% or less than. I stand corrected in that statistics. So you can see why the rate of suicide in mental illness or mental health challenges in men is high, because they do not seek help. And most of the reasons why they do not seek help is because there's an expectation that a man must be strong, a man must be courageous, a man must be able to, battle it out. A man is not expected to show weakness. A man is not expected to talk about his mental state. A man is expected to be weak, because it is weak men that talk about, their mental state. And you can imagine, I was so happy when I went to a conference one time and we were talking about domestic violence and, help, how to seek help when you are being abused. And it was a pastor that stood up, a male pastor, and he said, I want to say something. And I want us to be emotionally sensitive and emotionally intelligent to dictates of our surrounding. And the pastor said, I stand corrected, but I'm going to let you know in this conference room that we need to be gentle with men as well. We need to consider men, that when they speak about domestic violence, people are quick to empathize with women, to empathize, with emotions regarding to women. And they always they make it look like, and they are quick to say the perpetrator is a man. But have we thought about it the other way around? Have we looked at it from a different dimension? Have we thought about it that men are also sufferers of domestic violence? That women beat men, wives beat their husband, they emotionally abuse them, they mentally abuse them, they neglect them, they sexually abuse them. Now, why are we quick to cast judgment on men and always see men as the perpetrator? Why don't we at times, look beyond what operates or the major statistics that we see? That men also, they suffer from abuse, they suffer from, domestic violence. And as a health professional, I actually took that away, because it's so easy to overlook it in the society, that men are, at the end of the burning stick as well. Men are, they bear the burden. Men are seen but not heard. So over to you, Princess. I just pray that this time around, we'll be able to hear you more, because we've already spent an hour and you've not spoken.
Yeah,
so I'm going to give you some time to speak.
Thank you, ma. I'm so sorry that it's like this, but it's beyond me. I've tried different networks, nothing is changing. But I've talked was air God tonight. Amen. So let me say this from the point where I joined this conversation back, talking about men's mental health. It is so saddening to know that even when men are suffering, the society will not want them to cry out. There's this culture of silence around men's mental health.
Oh, we seem to be losing Princess again.
So
And
you hear
yeah,
people say things like,
oh dear. Oh, we seem to have lost Princess. Um, we we have to round up because we've already spent an hour, on today's program. And it's so, so sad that her network is fluctuating. But regardless of that, I promise you that we would be bringing her into the studio again one of these days to come and finish this session with regards to stigmatization, labeling, judgmental approach to sufferers of mental health challenges or mental health conditions, mental illnesses, and everything that affects our mental health. So, our dear viewers, we thank you so much for joining us today on this segment of How is Your Mental Health? As I went online, I saw quite a lot of people who are watching, who are dropping comments. And the good thing is that after this live program, there is, there is an opportunity to watch it again from the beginning. Please like, yeah, and come and visit us, call us. The numbers have been displayed online. The numbers are there in the either on the live program or inbox, where you can drop your comments, where you can contact us. You can also go to our Facebook page. You can visit Professor Olasalau, who I'm just seeing right now, joining us in the studio. Welcome, Prof. It's so good to have you. And also, I'm trying to see that our Princess is trying to come back onto the show. And yeah, we're here for you. We're here for the public. And most especially, we're here for our African brothers and sisters. And I am passionate about taking the message of mental wellness, taking the message of mental illness, taking the message of mental health challenge. I'm very, very interested in taking that beyond the shores of United Kingdom, even to my home country, which is Nigeria, because I visit often and I go around and make inquiries. And also through social media, I connect with people to find out what is happening in the space, of mental illness, mental health, health promotion as regards to mental state of mind, mental health, and what government is doing to support that part of health care as it affects the society. And through this, I have been able to gather information and see that a lot needs to be done. And through KOA Foundation, through support of people who are doing great works in the area of mental wellness, we would definitely be making advice and advances through Ministry of Health, through directorates within the Ministry of Health, to different organizations which are supporting Africa in the area of promoting mental wellness, even for Africans, for Nigerians, and to make sure that we stop, we put a stop gap to people thinking that suicide is the only way out. We put a stop gap to stigmatization. We put a stopgap to labeling, and also being judgmental as it relates to people who are suffering from mental illness, one form of mental illness or the other. So please contact us. Please drop your comments. Please like and share both on Toyin OLUWANIYI-ASAAJU page, both on KOA Foundation page. You can also visit the pages of some of our guests. Professor Ola Salau has a page on Facebook, and I know that Princess also has a page for her advocacy and her foundation as it relates to supporting people with depression, and she's doing a great work in that area. So until we come your way again next Sunday on KOA Foundation, how is your mental health? We are leaving you with these words, these final words. Be kind, show empathy, support, speak out regarding mental health challenges, regarding mental illnesses, regarding mental health and well-being. Be kind to people. Be kind to people you don't know, people you know, because you don't know what their mental state is. You don't know what they're going through. Most times we don't look like what we're going through. As we always say in my own dialect, "Aṣọ ló bàṣírí ara," meaning that it's the clothes that we put on that cover our nakedness in terms of our emotions, in terms of our mental state. So what are we saying? Don't judge people. Don't judge people. Don't cast aspersion on people. Don't make people feel lesser than who they are. Be kind. Be kind in every area. Don't stigmatize. Don't label. Don't talk about people in places where feedback will come to them, because you are indirectly making them to recede. You are indirectly boxing them into a corner whereby they would not open up about their mental state, and thus causing more havoc and harm, leading to suicide, leading to complete mental breakdown. I leave you with these words today until I, the pioneer and the founder of Kofor-Asaju Foundation, Koforola Oluwatoyin-Asaju Foundation, come your way next week, Sunday at 7 p.m. with a very important guest who would educate us, who would, shed more light as an actual mental health challenge sufferer, because it's good to hear from people who've had journeys in this area, who have been through one or the other mental health challenge, and they have come out victorious. And we want to ask them, how did they overcome the challenge? How did they beat it? How did they beat the blues? How, did they gain support? Who supported them in their journey? What happened? How did they come out of it? How did they fight suicide ideation? How, did they become stronger mentally? This is what we'll be discussing on our next segment when we come your way next week. And we wish you a wonderful week. We say stay strong mentally, look after yourself. Health is wealth. Until next week, when we come live through African Portal TV, all the way from South Africa, I am wishing you a pleasant evening and good night. Thank you very much. African Radio Portal, we're signing out, and we say thank you for your time on this great program brought to you by KOA Foundation. It's been an exciting segment, and we look forward to all your comments. We look forward to liking it, sharing it, and to have more viewers. And if you'd like to be a guest on this program, you can also identify by calling African Portal or calling KOA Foundation, either through our website or through the phone numbers that have been displayed on the screen. If you would like to join us in the studio, this program is for everybody, not people we know alone, but people who want to contribute to what is happening in our society in regards to mental wellness and mental illness. And together, we can continue to educate people and also spread the word that mental illness does not mean suicide. Mental illness does not mean you cannot lead a quality life. Mental illness can happen to everyone. And it is what you do with it that would either give you better outcomes or it will continue to sink you into that dark hole. And to let you know that there is professional help out there, and we can help you to seek that help. We can help you to access that help, even for better outcomes. And this is where I sign out finally from the studio this evening on African Portal. God bless you. Have a fruitful week, and see you next week, Friday.
Fọwọ́ mi iná lógo, màá ohun tí mo ní ìyàn bàbá, èrè kí ló lè jẹ́ fún mi nígbà tí mo bá ti wọnú ilẹ̀ lọ, erùpẹ̀ ilẹ̀ kò lè yan lógo bàbá mi, máa fọwọ́ mi yan, máa fọwọ́ mi yan lógo, máa ohun tí mo ní o, máa ohun tí mo ní ìyàn bàbá, èrè ló lè jẹ́ fún mi nígbà tí mo bá ti wọnú ilẹ̀ lọ, erùpẹ̀ ilẹ̀ kò lè yan lógo bàbá mi, orí pé ó mú mi wá láyé ó ṣeun o, ó mú mi wá láyé ó ṣeun.
Ẹni tí ọba ní jọ̀bọ̀jọ̀bọ̀ lápá kò lè dáṣà mú kíọkíọ. Èyí ló mú KOA Foundation Òfórọlá Olúwatóyìn Aṣáájú pẹ̀lú olùrànlọ́wọ́ rẹ̀ Pásítọ̀ Olúwaníyì-Aṣáájú ní àfojúsùn nípa ríran àwọn obìnrin lọ́wọ́, àwọn èwe, àwọn ọ̀dọ́ àti ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìdílé lọ́wọ́ láyìíká pé kí wọ́n má fàyè gba ẹ̀rù, ìrònú àbájì láàyè. Ṣé ọrọ̀ ajé rẹ ò gbé pẹ́lí? Kí ló fẹ́ fi ìrònú dorí ara rẹ rú sí? Ìṣòro nípa ẹ̀kọ́, bí a ṣe ń tọ́jú àwọn àkàndá tí a sì ń kọ́ wọn ní ẹ̀kọ́ tí wọ́n fi bá ẹgbẹ́ pé lọ́jọ́ iwájú. Gbígbógun ti ìṣẹ́ òun òṣì, ìrónilágbára, gbígbani ní ìmọ̀ràn nípa bí a ṣe lè gbé ilé ayé, ẹ̀kọ́ láti di adarí rere lágbàáyé tí a sì ń kọ́ni bí a ti ń fi àdúrà yanjú àwọn ìṣòro tó bá kojú ẹni. KOA Foundation Òfórọlá Olúwatóyìn Aṣáájú Foundation ti ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀, kò rẹ̀ wọ́n kò sì ní rẹ̀ wọ́n nípa níná ọwọ́ rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ayọ̀ láti fi sọrí 50 ọdún tí a bí ìyá wa Òfórọlá Olúwatóyìn Aṣáájú, tí a ó sì pín àwọn ẹ̀bùn rabandẹ̀ fún àwọn àkàndá nílé ẹ̀kọ́ wọn pẹ̀lú àwọn ohun amáyédẹrùn tí wọ́n nílò. Ìyẹn ò ní kọ́kọ́ àwọn obìnrin, àwọn èwe àti àti àwọn ọ̀dọ́ yóò jẹ àǹfààní ẹ̀bùn oríṣiríṣi bíi tàtẹ̀yìnwá èyí tí yóò wáyé ní ọjọ́ 21 oṣù kẹjọ ọdún tá a wà nínú rẹ̀ yìí. Yékùdí ó gbọ́ kó sọ fún toko, káàdùn ó gbọ́ kó lọ rò fún ọbẹ̀. KOA Foundation yóò ṣe bẹbẹ pẹ̀lú àfọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ Sacred Heart and KOA Foundation ENT'L is owned by US both here in UK and Nigeria. Fún àlàyé kíkún ẹ kàn sí +4473534364 KOA Foundation èròǹgbà retí fún àwọn obìnrin. Charity KOA Foundation Òfòrọ̀lá Olúwatóyìn-Aṣáájú Pastor Oluwaniyi-Asaaju has been doing it together without stress, focusing on supporting women, children, youth, and families in area of fear, anxiety, self-esteem, motivation, depression, mental health and mind, stigmatization, achieving in education, learning disability in children, poverty, parenting, empowerment, counseling, leadership training, prayer, support. Òfòrọ̀lá Olúwatóyìn-Asaaju Foundation celebrating our 50th birthday. The Jubilee celebration is coming up in August 31st, 2024. As usual, charity helps will be given to School for the Blind and other special needs facilities. KOA Foundation will be giving food items and resources to the people. All this will be done with the support of Sacred Heart and KOA Foundation ENT'L is owned by US both here in UK and Nigeria. For more information, +447395433648. KOA Foundation, wishing hope for women.